Welcome back to Hasbro's Hyde. In the middle of the next round of reloading for our 6.5 Grendel, still processing the next 50 rounds of new brass, but go ahead and doing some charge weight studies. And so we're still going to be using this Barnes 140 grain match burner bullet just to finish off that box, and that was done just because it was cheap. And so 140 grains, maybe it's not so optimal for 6.5 Grendel. We found out 2230 powder does not like it. So we'll see what these do. So what we've done is I've already loaded 2520. Now we're doing charge weights from 26.6 up to 27.8, and that keeps us away from some maximums that I found around different sites and different recommended loads. And we do that just one, to be safe, but two is this new brass, so its case capacity is lower. It looks like it's about 6 thousandths short on headspace on this new brass versus the fired brass I already have. So we're going to keep the charges down a little bit low, and we'll be careful as we work up. So 2520 we've already loaded, and we'll remove it from the bench since we're actually now loading Shooter's World match rifle. Now this is supposed to be the equivalent of 2520, and in fact Shooter's World says use the same charge weights. So we're going to do that, but we're going to be very careful and watch our brass and our pressures as we move up the scale. But we'll shoot them side by side and see what happens. So that's what we're going to be loading now, and what I've started in fact already. We're using Federal Premium Match Small Rifle primers this time. Just thought we'd try this and see how that goes. I have several of these. I told you I have many different primers we're going to be trying as we go through this series. So working on our loads, we're at 27.2, and we'll just continue on from here. Re-tear our small scales. It's good to do this occasionally just in case we get a little bit of minute drift. I've already done, yeah, this one needs to be redone too. This is the scale that it says 0.02, and it's pretty accurate to 0.02, but it drifts quite often, so you have to really watch it. And you can see that in the weight, the negative tear weight that comes up on the scale when you remove the pan. And so you'll need to zero that out, put this back on and check, and this is 0.02 higher than when it goes, just drop back down to the same value. So you've got to keep an eye on this one, and then this one is simply to double check that one. You still have to keep an eye on this, but that's the case. Now the CBS Chargemaster Light does a pretty good job, especially with these ball powders. Very, very fine ball powders. I don't know how well you can see that, but very fine powder on the match rifle and the accurate 2520. And so it meters, in fact, pretty well. But here it's going to be slightly light. We'll check it here. Yeah, 27.1, and his target's 27.2. But that's okay. We'll just trickle up. And it kind of hones in. You'll see the Chargemaster get more and more accurate when you run more and more consecutive shots or consecutive loads. But here we're changing all the time. Between every 5 cases we change our charge weight. Now these are not agreeing, so here's what I do. We'll go back and we start again. Tear this at 0. Make sure everything's stable, nothing's moving around. Very carefully, because if you push hard, you can sort of deflect the scale to the side, and that seems to affect its accuracy. So now we're at 0. This one is the one that has drifted now. I don't know if you can see this, but let's see if, well, as soon as I move it, it changes it. But it changed. It went up quite a bit in its negative tear weight. And so it'll do that as it heats up and stabilizes. It gets better. Now we're back to 122.48, which is the weight of this pan. So very carefully tear it. Try not to move it too much. And now we'll check. Our Chargemaster says 27.2. And it comes back at 27.18. So within 0.02. We'll check over here. 27.2, so we're good again. That's just the kind of thing you'll have to go through with some of these cheaper electronic scales, and keep an eye on them as you go along. So we'll continue this load, and then we'll go over and seat the bullets next. I thought I'd show you one other thing that happens with the RCBS Chargemaster Light. So the target here is 27.2, and it hit that target when it said it was done weighing. Then it comes back and gives you the charge number and the sequence it's doing. Then it comes back with actually your final weight. So it can be really easy to do, just to grab that thing and want to go ahead and use that charge as it is. But you need to wait until after it displays that charge number and then see what the new number is, because here in fact it tells me I'm 27.0 and it flashes an undercharge alarm. So in fact it is slightly undercharged. So you just got to be careful with that and just wait until it flashes, and you'll see it here flash in just a second, that value. There's this charge 8, and in fact this one then says it's stabilized at 27.2. So we'll check it. And we have 27.26, so within 0.06. Not bad, but we'll just remove a little bit, and now it's 27.22, so 0.02 accurate, and our double check says we are good. So just something to watch for in the RCBS Chargemaster Light. Just let it finish, flash the charge, then wait for the reading. And there we have a good charge. All right, continuing on with our 6.5 Grendel load. Now we're loading accurate 2520 and Shooter's World match, and 5 different charge weights. And so we're continuing on with the seating of the bullets. So we're going to have our target as 2.255 inches. We'll back this off just a little bit just to make sure we're good from where we were before, and then we'll seat a bullet. We'll just check our overall length. .255.5, so that's a pretty lucky guess. Let's try another one. We'll see how an average of them are, because that E-plat tends to vary a lot on these bullets. 2.252, so that's pretty good. Let's keep going, check a few more. 2.260, so that one varied a bit more. We'll try it again. Like I say, these E-plats, it's just normal for this type of a bullet, but they change quite a bit. We'll check cartridge-based ogive here as well. 2.256.5, so I think that's pretty good, but that's our lowest charge weight of 2520. So let's go on up and check our highest charge weight and see if we're compressing at all. It should not be, based on the charge weight I chose. But let's just double check a few rounds and see what we get. .258. .257. .260, so there's another long one. We had a long one at our shortest or lowest powder charge too. We're definitely not near compressing, so more likely just the bullet length changing. There's another 2.260. So we'll take this down another couple thousandths just to make sure that we stay within the magazine dimension, or the ideal dimension of 2.260. 2.256. We'll do our other long one and see how we come out. .256, and we'll go ahead and seat one then independent of that, and we'll call this good. .256. So that's good. So we'll go back and reseat all of the bullets to this dimension, and then that way the cartridge-based ogive will be consistent between all of them. And we'll check that here as soon as I reseat all of these back to that same point. Alright, now let's check cartridge-based ogive. .626.5. Well, that one's long. Let's try reseating it. Maybe I missed one. I think so, but maybe I did. .628, so that one's a couple thousandths longer. 1.626, so that's all still very, everything except for that one so far is hitting the exact same value. 1.626.5. So this is the one that was long. There's just something a little bit different about that particular bullet. Try seating it one more time, but I don't think it'll probably change. .627.5, so within a thousandth and a half, and we'll call that good. So we'll continue to seat all these rounds, and then we'll see you at the range. Before we go to the range, I want to show you the last step in the process. That is adding a very light crimp. Now, these burner bullets do not have a cantilever, and so you don't want a heavy crimp, but I think in an AR it's wise to have a little bit of a crimp because of the violence and the velocity of automatic loading. When that bolt slams home, that bullet will want to continue to move, and in fact when the bolt hits it, the bullet will want to move rearward. And so you have two effects. You have one, when it tries to load it, it tries to move the bullet rearward, and when that bolt hits, then the bullet wants to continue forward. So you want to make sure you have enough neck tension on here. And there was probably enough because the lands on this bolt are really big, but nonetheless, it's an AR. It's a semi-automatic, so it's wise to have a very small crimp. Now, you can adjust the amount of crimp. This is the Lee factory crimp die for 6.5 Grendel. And you can adjust it. It's got a collet inside that squeezes onto the bullet from 4 different directions, kind of like a pedal type collet. And you just simply run your bullet up. Now this has already been adjusted, but you run your bullet up, run the die down until it touches, and then back this out and run it down a little bit at a time until you get the crimp that you want. And I'm not sure how well you can see this in the video there, but there is a very, very slight ring around here. Now I don't want much because I'll just be distorting the bullet. I just want just a little bit more pressure to keep that bullet from moving around. Too much and it'll definitely affect the accuracy. You'll distort the bullet and you'll raise the neck tension very high, and it'll have problems releasing and making it less accurate too. So if you can see that there's just a very, very light ring, not too much there. And so we'll continue on and do all of our rounds this way, so they all have exactly the same setting as far as neck tension and, well, crimping goes in that fashion. And now really, we'll see you at the range. Welcome to the COVID-19 shooting range today. Because of the travel ban in Indiana with all the virus issues and all, and we'll set this up in the back of my property. And so you can see then we get the Labradar set up, and down there then is our 50-yard target. I can go to 100, but it's a little bit awkward. You have to shoot it real near the top of a hill and then downhill, and just kind of awkward. So I'm going to shoot this at 50 yards today and see how things go. All right, next up, 27.5 grains of accurate 2520. .2520, and it's 27.8 grains. So far, shooting with either magazine's been flawless. So maybe the failure to feed where the bolt would just stop, part way is even better. I hate to, but before we do this, I need to bring this back over to the left, or we're going to completely miss our target on this. So let's come back at least 1 minute, or excuse me, 1 full MOA to the left, and we'll see where we fall. In fact, it probably needs to come more than that, so we'll bring it over 2. Since we're at 50 yards. There's certain days you go to the range and you're an idiot. This is one. Get this nice Labradar that didn't arm it for the last 2 rounds, and 2 of those shots. An idiot. So anyway, last 3 we'll get. Velocity is on anyway. Well, you can tell these are a lot faster. A lot more recoil felt. Alright, 2520 doesn't like that round, that bullet either. Just a quick look at our brass. This is the 140 grain Barnes burner bullet, and where we shot accurate 2520, and then also in parallel, same exact charges on Shooter's World match rifle. And the main thing is here, I kept the load safe because this was new brass, and there really is nothing to see. I don't know how well you can see that there or not, but really no primer issues, all nice and rounded on the edges, no ejector swipes, really nothing to see at all. So that's all good, and our pressure indications were all what we expected. All right, now looking at the results of our 140 grain test with our 2 powders, accurate 2520 and Shooter's World match. Now you'll see the details up in the top of the screen there, as far as velocity and all the details on the loads and things like that. But the results, yeah, they're pretty much terrible. you can look at this, and again, the more details are at the top there. But the only one that really had, well, maybe the only one that really had promise is this one here, which is a 27 or 26.9 grain load of Shooter's World match rifle. It started to group actually pretty good, and I had one go flying off there, and I'm pretty sure that was me. I think most of this, and I'll show you in a minute why, but most of this is probably on me. I set up a pretty heavy card table kind of thing, but it's in the middle of my backwoods, not the best rest, and I always felt myself kind of fighting to be steady and trying to squeeze and trying to, you almost feel like you're timing it. And so I think a lot of this may be me, but not all of this, because you can see some of these opened up really significantly on the high end, and again, you'll see the numbers up there. So yeah, so Shooter's World, yeah, maybe we could do this again if I get more of these bullets, and I don't know that I will. I just got those, they were cheap, and to process the brass to once fired state. But then there's this other one down here, and this one is the 27.2 grain of accurate 2520, and it showed some promise. On this one had a, you know, again, a decent standard deviation. For instance, you can take one measurement, it's about 7.8. That's not too bad. This one up here was 4.66. That was awesome. So that's why I'm pretty sure that was probably just me. And I kind of felt it, and I just wasn't sure if that was me or not. But I still counted them all up, so the numbers look terrible, because this is 50-yard results, and so it's horrible. But at least maybe these two would have some promise. Now, one of the reasons I can tell you is that this is the Hornady Black, by the way, 123 ELD, and its standard deviation and group size, everything's just terrible. So, yeah, you know, I didn't get such good results the first rounds I put through the gun with this, and it's still holding the same way. Now, we're up to 215 rounds. Well, after the second video, we'll be up to 215 rounds through the rifle here. We were at 165 at this point. So anyway, here's the results from the first firing of the rifle. Now, we're not going to go through all these, but this is still 50 yards. And if you look here, our groups are just much, much smaller. We had some that were at least encouraging, though we still have some threes and high numbers here. So, but at least when they started to group, well, they were a lot better. So I think this was on at our club, the concrete benches, and much more stable. So I think that's probably the biggest thing in all of this. So, so yeah, that's it for the 140 grain Barnes. I doubt I go back to that. It's probably just a little bit heavy for 6.5 Grendel anyway, but hey, it was fun to try.